It's crazy. I'm over here looking, man. Somebody is now renovating this property here. A couple years ago, wasn't nobody renovating properties on this block. But a couple years ago, I renovated this property right here, added an addition to it, and now a family's living in there. You know, I was able to make a really nice profit on that. And then because of the profit that I made on it, I identified all the other bad buildings on the block. And then so it led me to purchase this property right here on the same block, maybe 4 houses away. And then I went and purchased the property right next door to it. So people always ask me the question of like, man, where should I invest in 2021? And I tell people, location, location, location. Let's go. About 3 years back, I remember coming in this community and I was just driving down this block, and this was an older community. And I remember it was a few houses that were boarded up. And this one that's right behind me, this was one that was in particular. This was the worst property in this community. And so I always go after the worst property, right? I never buy the best property, I buy the worst property and make it into the best property. And so when I came in this community, nobody was doing any renovations, nobody was coming on this block, no developers was coming here. But then when I renovated the first property and it made it look like something, the worst property on the block, I made it look like the best property on the block. Then that's when other people in the community started to renovate the property, which drove the prices up on this block. So after I successfully purchased, renovated that house I just showed you guys, then I came here and identified this property. Now this property, I purchased it for $40,000. And I put $80,000 into this one also. Similar type houses, but the difference is I didn't have to add an addition onto this house. Now I have this property ready to go on the market. But see, the first property told me exactly what people were looking for in this community. It told me what the buyers were looking for. So I took the information from that first property that I sold and I made a nice profit. But then I put that information into this one. Everything that people said that they wish they had in this first property, I took that information, I put it in this one. Now, this raised the comps a little bit more. So even though we sold that property at the very maximum amount that this neighborhood called for a couple years ago, now we pushed the lever with this one. So here it is, we bought this property for $40,000. We put a little bit over $80,000 into it. But right now as we speak, I'm actually closing on this house now for $90,000 more than what I purchased the other house, which is only 7 houses down the street. So I sold that house for $200,000. This one I'm selling for $290,000. The same cost, same purchase price, same renovation cost, the same block, same community. The only difference is I'm raising the comps in the area right now. All right, so I just showed you guys that right down the street, I purchased a property, successfully renovated that property and sold that property, right? And then I came down several houses further and I'm doing the same thing and I'm selling this property in less than a week. So, hey, if it worked for those first two, why wouldn't it work for this one? I think sometimes we do something and we get a little bit of success and then we get away from it. But in real estate, you gotta understand that I'm able now to sell this property probably for about $315,000, $320,000. So here it is, about 2 years ago, I sold a property for $200,000. Right now as we speak, in a pandemic, I'm selling this property for $290,000. And so this third property right here on the same block, I'm gonna sell it for over $300,000. So guys, don't get away from what works. Identify a community, identify a block, and then identify the style of house that you wanna renovate. And then execute on it. Try to purchase as many properties as you can in the same community. Why? Because when you sell a property at its highest point, you're not only helping out yourself by raising the comparables or the values of your properties, but you're helping out the whole community. Yes, I get a lot of people that ask me like, they say, you still investing in real estate with the market, with everything taking place with the pandemic, you know, Jemal, people getting laid off, like who's buying real estate? What I tell people is, you know, and I got this from playing football back in the day, that sometimes you gotta make the halftime adjustments. You gotta know when to say, okay, cool, this is not working for me, so then let me readjust and now go to this area. So what I've noticed over time, you know, the government right now, they slash interest rates. Interest rates are at an all-time low. So that means now you got more people saying, hey, I'm gonna borrow this cheap money. I'm looking to get my house. I'm looking to move into a house. Why? Because the money is so cheap. The loan I get is so cheap right now. So who's gonna supply those properties? Who's gonna supply it? It's all about supply and demand. It's not about what type of building I wanna buy or this building looks nice. No, it's about supply and demand. And I saw that the demand was high right now for single family homes. This is the time like never before where people plan on purchasing a property and staying there for the next several years. So I want to be the one who's going to supply those homes. I want to be the one that's going to be able to give a family the type of home that they've been praying for. So now during this pandemic, that's all I've been mainly doing is focusing on single family homes because the demand is so great. So you have to ask yourself in times like this, you know, where do I fit in the market? How, as an investor, how can I be a blessing to other people? And so for me right now, I'm supplying the demand of people looking to live in their dream home.